Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. 2 days ago, Jamal Menzies, the son of Kim Menzies and a fan favorite on 90 Day Fiancé, was hurt in a car accident late at night. The 27-year-old reality star broke his hand and had a lot of bruises when he lost control of his automobile while driving home from a bar. Police said that Jamal was awake when they got there and brought him to the hospital. There, doctors said his injuries were not life-threatening, but would need to be watched for at least 3 days. A picture of him in a hospital bed with his hand in a cast rapidly went viral on Instagram, and people sent him a lot of prayers and sympathies. His mother, Kim Menzies, is heartbroken and crying as she stays by his bedside with relatives, friends, and his fiancé. The flashing lights of ambulances on a dark California street late Saturday night started a story that has since touched the hearts of thousands. After a scary vehicle accident that shattered his hand and left him with bad bruises, Jamal Menzies, the cherished son of Kim Menzies and one of the rising stars of the 90 Day Fiancé franchise, was transported to the hospital. In just a few hours, a picture of Jamal laying in a hospital bed with a big white cast on his hand and a pale, but awake look on his face circulated like wildfire on Instagram profiles and fan pages. By morning, hashtags like #PrayForJamal and #StayStrongJamal were trending. Fans from all around the world were shocked, worried, and very concerned. What started as a routine night out with friends at a local nightclub turned into a terrible moment for his family, especially his mother, Kim Menzies. Her emotions and anguish have become part of the story as it unfolds. Reliable sources say that Jamal lost control of his car while driving home and hit a barrier, which led to a quick response from the police and paramedics. Doctors have subsequently established that his illness is critical but not life-threatening. However, the emotional impacts are still huge. Friends say that Jamal had been trying to relax after a stressful few weeks of balancing his job goals, family responsibilities, and the attention that comes with being a public figure. The night started off like any other for him. He went to a nightclub in downtown San Diego to meet up with several pals. They laughed, caught up, and seemed to be in a good mood. One friend told reporters, "Jamal wasn't out there to party like crazy. He was smiling, talking, and just being there. He didn't look intoxicated or stumble. He was just Jamal, calm and peaceful." But when he left the club and got into his car around 2:15 a.m., fate had other intentions. Later, the police said that the car suddenly turned after going around a tight curve on a route not far from the downtown area of the city. Witnesses who were driving behind him talked about the moment of panic. "I saw his car swerve," claimed Marcus L., a witness who contacted 911 right away. "At first, I thought he might be avoiding an animal or some trash. The automobile then impacted the guardrail. It wasn't the kind of crash where you think everyone will be fine. I understood immediately once that the driver needed help. Within minutes, emergency workers arrived and pulled Jamal out of the car. He was awake but obviously in pain, holding his left hand and making a face as paramedics helped him onto a stretcher. At the hospital, they confirmed that his hand was broken and that he had a lot of bruises and little cuts. Jamal is still being watched at the hospital, where he is getting both medical care and media attention. The doctors told the family that his injuries are not life-threatening, but he will need to be patient and rest while he heals. Dr. Alvaro Hernandez, one of the doctors who treated Menzies, told the press that he had a broken hand and a few minor injuries. "We've made the fracture stable, and we're taking care of his pain. He'll be watched for at least 3 days to make sure there are no hidden problems." A buddy who visited Jamal in the hospital took the viral photo and shared it with his family. Fans connected with the picture, which showed Jamal with a cast on his hand, a pale but peaceful face, and a slight smile breaking through. Fans sent their love in the comments on Instagram. "Get well soon, Jamal. We are all praying for you. Kim, stay strong. You will get better. Sending love and light from Canada. This is why life is so important. I'm glad he's still alive. Get well soon, Jamal." If Jamal's injuries were physical, the emotional traumas have been the worst for his mother, Kim Menzies. Longtime fans of 90 Day Fiancé know Kim as a very loyal person who is occasionally feisty and always wears her heart on her sleeve. This time, everyone can see how heartbroken she is. A close family acquaintance remarked, Kim is completely heartbroken. When she first got the call, she started to cry. She hurried to the hospital and hasn't left his side since. She's been talking to him, holding his hand, and sometimes simply sitting there crying. Kim talked to viewers briefly on Instagram Live without going into too much information. She said, "Seeing her son in that hospital bed has broken her spirit in ways that are hard to describe. Please pray for my son," she begged, her voice shaking. "He's strong, but this has shaken us all up. I just want him to be okay as a mom." Family and friends have come together to protect Jamal while he heals. His girlfriend, whose name has been kept mostly secret, was seen arriving at the hospital late on Sunday with red eyes from crying. Friends have been taking turns coming over to deliver flowers, cards, and encouraging words. People from the cast of 90 Day Fiancé have even reached out. Some TLC stars wrote on Instagram to show their support, calling Jamal the sweetest guy and a little brother figure in the franchise family. One cast member wrote, "Sending so much love to Jamal. He's going to get through this, and we're all here for him." The viral picture of Jamal in the hospital bed has not only gotten people to feel sorry for him, but it has also gotten a lot of people to help him. Some fan pages made collages of Jamal with motivating phrases, and others organized internet campaigns to get people to send cards and letters. A fan in New York even set up a virtual prayer circle on Zoom and invited others from all around the US to join in sending good thoughts to Jamal while he heals. "Reality stars share their lives with us, and sometimes we forget they're human," remarked Teresa, a fan from Florida. "This accident was a wake-up call. Jamal might be one of our brothers, kids, or friends. He is a real person, not just a TV character. That is why so many of us feel this way." The police are still looking into what caused the crash. Early reports say that drugs and alcohol weren't directly involved, but toxicology tests are normal. Police think that the crash might have happened because the driver was tired or distracted for a short time. Officer Daniel Ruiz claimed, "The roads were slippery at that time. It's possible that helped the car lose control. We're glad the driver lived and no one else was hurt." In the following weeks, insurance firms and lawyers are anticipated to get involved. But for now, the family has begged for privacy and patience as they focus on Jamal's recovery. It helps to look back over Jamal's time on 90 Day Fiancé to understand why this accident has affected so many people. He was introduced as Kim Menzies' son, and people soon liked him because he was calm, gave good counsel, and was a good support for his mother's dramatic narrative. Some cast members like to stir up trouble, but Jamal has always come across as down-to-earth, considerate, and easy to relate to. Viewers liked how funny he was, how sarcastic he could be, and most of all, how much he loved his mom. Jamal has been expanding out in the last few months. He's been creating his own social media profile, making guest appearances, and even foreshadowing future career moves outside of the reality TV spotlight. Because of this, his accident happened at a time when many thought he was ready to break out of his first position. The event also brings to light the fact that TV stars are not exempt to the same hazards that regular people confront. Car accidents are still one of the most common ways people are hurt throughout the world. Jamal's story is a reminder that being famous doesn't protect you from bad things happening. "People sometimes think that celebrities live in a safe bubble," said media analyst Karen Doyle. "But moments like this break that illusion. Fans feel a connection with the star because he is going through something so normal, yet so scary." Doctors say Jamal may need many weeks to get full use of his hand back, and he may need physical therapy. His wounds will heal over time, but the mental and emotional damage may last longer. Dr. Hernandez said, "Accidents like this can leave mental scars. The shock of suddenly losing control on the road can make you less sure of yourself and make you anxious." Kim has already promised to be there for every step of the way. She is said to have informed hospital staff, "I don't care how long it takes. I will stay in this hospital chair for as long as I need to. He's my son, my everything." Jamal is still in the hospital today, steadily getting stronger. At the family's wish, updates are not being released very often, but every new piece of information continues to cause a lot of talk among fans and the media. It's not merely a story about a vehicle crash. It is the narrative of a young man whose life crossed paths with celebrity, whose weakness has been exposed naked, and whose recovery has become a shared hope for thousands of people who feel like they know him. The road ahead for Jamal may be slower and more difficult than he thought. It is a test of Kim's strength as a mother. And for fans, it's a reminder to love the individuals they look up to, not just because they are on TV, but also because they are real people. When things go wrong, people look for meaning, community, and something more than themselves. The accident that hurt and scared Jamal Menzies has brought people together in a way that doesn't happen very often. The outpouring of love, from touching comments on Instagram to secret prayer groups, shows how close reality TV stars are to their fans. There is one thing that is certain: Jamal is not recuperating alone. He is mending both physically and emotionally. His mother is with him, his family is coming together, and his fans are helping him in ways that are both obvious and not. The crash may have devastated him, but it also showed how important he is to his family, friends, and millions of people around the world who believe in second chances and better days ahead. So the story goes on, one day, one prayer, and one small step toward becoming better at a time. The hospital room where Jamal Menzies was recovering was a quiet place where the sounds of medical machines and the gentler sounds of murmured prayers, muffled sobbing, and sweet reassurances filled the air. His fractured hand, which was stuck in a thick cast, lay on the spotless white sheets. It was a clear reminder of how fragile life is and how quickly things can change. The picture of him lying in bed with his hand wrapped up went viral and made people all across the world worry. It was a wound deeper than any cast could hide for Kim Menzies, his mother. Her only son, the young man she had battled for, defended, and relied on, was suddenly vulnerable, damaged, and completely dependent on others. Since the night of the accident, Kim had not been able to leave the hospital. Nurses saw her sitting in the chair next to his bed with her hands folded, sometimes holding his fingers and other times just watching his chest rise and fall, as if she were counting every breath to make sure he was still alive. She often cried without suddenly, and even though she attempted to seem tough in front of Jamal, her voice shook when she talked about her anxieties. She told her friends, "I keep thinking about the phone call. The officer's voice telling me Jamal had been in an automobile accident broke me. I don't think I'll ever forget them. The doctors kept saying the same thing over and over. The break was clean, and it would heal over time. The cuts would heal, and the bruises would go away. But it took a lot longer, and was less assured for both Jamal and Kim to heal mentally. Trauma can stay in the shadows long after the wounds have healed." During his first few days in the hospital, Jamal didn't say much. People who saw him said he was quiet, humble, and even a little confused by the sudden pandemonium around him. He thanked the nurses nicely, spoke softly to his mother to calm her down, and smiled at friends who came by. But at night, when the hospital was quiet, he was observed looking at the ceiling with his good hand on his chest, as if he were reliving the accident over and again in his mind. The screech of the tires, the tremble of the metal, and the sudden loss of control. His partner, who has mostly stayed out of the public eye, became another anchor for him. She brought flowers and personal things to help him feel better, and she often leaned against the bed and whispered words of encouragement to him. Someone heard Kim gently say to her, "Thank you for being there for him." Once. "He needs all the love he can get right now." Kim's willingness to let her son have a girlfriend showed how much she loved anyone who could make Jamal feel better. The world outside the hospital was also not silent. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok turned into online vigil sites for Jamal's recovery. Fan accounts uploaded updates every day, and some made montages of Jamal's funniest moments on 90 Day Fiancé, with music and words like, "Stay strong, Jamal. You've got this." A group of admirers on TikTok initiated the hashtag Prayers for Jamal challenge, which asked people to record themselves sending him well wishes or lighting candles for him. Within 48 hours, thousands of recordings from all around the world had been posted, including from Canada, Nigeria, the Philippines, and Brazil. Many people were surprised not just by how much support there was, but also by how genuine it was. Reality TV stars may be quite divisive, but Jamal was appreciated by practically everyone in the fan community because he was a down-to-earth, thoughtful, and nice young man. One fan remarked, "He's not like the others who chase drama. He's the calm in the storm and the voice of reason. That's why it hurts so much to see him like this. He didn't deserve it." Kim, who was overwhelmed by the outpouring, sometimes looked at these messages on her phone while she was waiting in the hospital. She showed Jamal recordings of supporters praying for him, and even though he laughed and shook his head in amazement, his eyes filled with tears. "I didn't think people cared this much," he said quietly one afternoon. It's a little crazy, but it means a lot." At the same time, the police investigation went on quietly in the background. Officers confirmed that there were no drugs or alcohol found, which made Kim feel better and gave her more confidence in defending her son against any rumors of being careless. They still thought that tiredness and the state of the roads were important. Later, friends said that Jamal had been out late and might have been driving home when he should have waited or phoned a ride. He felt bad about the choice he made, and he told a friend, "I keep thinking, if I had just waited 10 more minutes or called someone, none of this would have happened." Survivor's guilt is something that people who walk away from accidents often feel, even when no one else is hurt. The days inside the hospital all seemed to blend together. In the mornings, doctors would check his vital signs, and in the afternoons, family and friends would come to see him. In the nights, he would spend a lot of time thinking. Kim didn't leave his side very often, except to get coffee or talk to reporters who were waiting outside. Once she told them, "He's strong, my son. But as a mother, you never stop worrying. I won't feel whole until he's home, safe and healed." Her tears at the end of that speech reminded everyone watching that she was just a mother battling for her child's health and safety. Fans also did more than just talk. They held fundraisers and charity drives in Jamal's name. The Menzies family didn't ask for money, but fans gave to trauma rehabilitation and road safety charities as a sign of support. One fan group leader added, "We know Jamal doesn't need our money, but if we can use this accident to remind people about road safety and help others, that's something he would appreciate." Discussions about the dangers of driving late at night and the need to get enough sleep before getting behind the wheel started to trend in forums, showing how a personal tragedy can lead to bigger conversations. On the third day in the hospital, doctors said Jamal may go home soon, but they highlighted how important it was for him to rest at home and go to follow-up visits. Kim was clearly relieved. She held the doctor's hands and thanked him many times. She smiled for the first time since the accident when she told supporters the news during a short update, but her voice still broke with grief. "He'll be home soon," she said. "We'll get through this together." But moving from the hospital to home was another emotional challenge. Kim got the house ready with pillows, blankets, and everything else that might make Jamal's rehabilitation easier. Friends offered to bring him food, and his girlfriend said she would help him with his daily needs and errands. But Jamal, too, had conflicting sentiments about leaving. He quietly said, "Part of me just wants to stay in here. It seems safe. Out there, on the road. I don't know if I'm ready." The doctors told him that these thoughts were normal, but the fight between fear and independence had only just begun. After Jamal got out of prison, his life slowed down a lot for a few weeks. He couldn't just flick through his phone or type with both hands anymore. Because his hand was damaged, he had to learn how to do ordinary things like eat, get dressed, and even write. His aggravation grew, and his patience was put to the utmost. Kim, who was close, sought to find a balance between protecting him and giving him room. Sometimes their roles seemed to switch. Jamal would comfort her when she cried, telling her that he was still alive, still himself, and still battling. The fans kept giving him messages, drawings, and tiny presents to convey their devotion. He was especially touched by a message from a teenage enthusiast in Ohio. It said, "Dear Jamal, I cried when I saw you in the hospital. You remind me of my brother, and I want you to know that people you don't even know love you. Please get better quickly. We're all rooting for you." Jamal kept the letter on his bedside and read it anytime he started to doubt himself. Kim started to talk about how the accident had changed the way she saw things. She said on Instagram Live, "We fight, we laugh, we cry, but this accident made me remember how fragile life is. I almost lost my son. The people you love are the most important thing in the world. If you're seeing this, please hug your kids, parents, and family. Don't take a single day for granted." Her remarks circulated throughout social media as a message of universal truth that went beyond her fan base. TLC even spoke out, saying they hoped Jamal would get better soon and admiring the resilience of the Menzies family. Some of Jamal's castmates wrote him private and public messages of support, and some even offered to visit him when he was feeling better. Reality TV drama frequently breaks up the sense of community, yet this one occurrence seemed to bring people together. As the weeks went by, Jamal started physical therapy, which was a slow and sometimes painful way to get his hand moving again. He made jokes with the therapists to attempt to make things less serious, but he told them in private that it was harder than he thought it would be. "I thought I'd get better quickly," he added, "but healing takes time, and I'm learning to respect that." Fans loved how humble and upfront he was about his battle, and many commended him for being honest. The accident also made him think about his future. Friends said that Jamal had become more thoughtful, and was now talking about doing things that were important to him instead of just going along with the flow of fame. "I think this was a wake-up call," one friend said. "He learned how rapidly things can change. Now he's thinking about what type of legacy he wants to leave and what kind of influence he wants to have." The accident made Kim's duty as a mother, protector, and advocate even more important. She was honest about her own mental health problems during the event and said that she went to therapy to deal with the fear and worry that stayed with her. Fans loved how open she was about her weaknesses. "If I can get help and get better, maybe other people will feel okay doing the same," she added. Months after the collision, Jamal's cast was finally taken off and replaced with a brace while he continued his therapy. His injuries had healed, but the emotional scars were still part of his story. But he was more careful when he walked, more grateful when he spoke, and more purposeful when he lived. Fans could see that his posts were different, less silly and more sincere. One caption said, "Every day is a gift. Don't waste it." In retrospect, the accident transcended mere headlines. It was a turning point in Jamal's life that made him realize he was going to die, tested his strength, and helped him grow. It was proof to Kim that she loved her kid unconditionally. For supporters, it was a chance to think about their own life while supporting someone they loved. For Jamal, it was the start of a new chapter, one that was not only written by fame, but also by survival, thankfulness, and the strength of human connection. The narrative of Jamal Menzies' mishap isn't simply about his broken hand and time in the hospital. It is about how tragedy can bring people together, how being weak can make others love you, and how even at the darkest times, there is light in the form of family, fans, and faith. He is still on the road to recovery, but every step he takes shows how strong he is as a young guy who has already changed many lives. The wounds will fade over time, but the lessons and love will stay with Jamal and everyone else around him for the rest of their lives. There was a lot of stress, hope, and reflection in the air around Jamal Menzies' recuperation. Not only did the accident upset up his family, but it also shook up his fans, who saw him as one of the more down-to-earth and approachable people in the 90-Day Fiancé community. The viral picture of Jamal in a hospital bed, with a cast on his hand and bruises on his face, but his eyes still seeming serene, has become a place for people to send words of love and unity. But there was more to the narrative than what was on the TVs and social media. It was a story of rehabilitation, responsibility, and family dynamics. Kim Menzies, Jamal's mother, was still clearly upset, but she was more in control now. She answered quietly when asked how she was doing after spending days in a hospital chair next to him without sleeping. She said, "That night, it felt like my whole world stopped. I thought I would lose him when I got that call. It's a blessing to see him alive, even though he has fractured bones and bruises. I will always appreciate God for saving my son." She cried less, but her willpower was stronger. She was in charge of Jamal's discharge arrangements, physical therapy timetables, and even his diet, making sure that no detail was missed. People who knew her weren't surprised. Kim had always been quite protective of her son. Jamal was quieter, but his stillness wasn't the empty silence of sorrow. It was more of a look back. He had started to think about the accident in ways he hadn't before because of the pain medicine and the continuous reminders of what he couldn't do. During a late-night talk with his mom, Jamal said, "I should have been more careful. I keep playing it over and over in my thoughts. I believed I was fine because the music was loud and the road was clear. Then all of a sudden I wasn't. It all happened in a matter of seconds. I feel dumb." Kim didn't yell at him. Instead, she gently put her palm over his uninjured one and murmured, "You're human. You were wrong. What matters is what you do now with your healing and your choices." It seems like that conversation was a turning point. From that point on, Jamal saw his recovery as more than simply a physical battle. It was also a chance to start over in several areas of his life. The outpouring of love was too much to handle. Thousands of followers wrote touching things online, like prayers, virtual candles, and even memories of times when they almost got into accidents. Some people talked about how they had seen the show and felt intimately connected to Jamal and Kim's mother-son relationship. Some people just said kind things, knowing how fragile life is. But it wasn't simply love online. Friends and relatives started coming to the hospital to visit, providing warmth, humor, and a sense of normalcy. Jamal's girlfriend, who was quite upset, started coming to see him a lot. She would sit beside his bed for hours, sometimes talking about the tiniest things like movies, food cravings, and goofy TikToks, and other times just sitting there in quiet, allowing her presence speak for itself. Jamal told a friend, "You find out who really cares about you in times like this." The messages, the calls, the visits, it's been humbling. I didn't know so many people were rooting for me. As the 3-day mark got closer, Jamal's physicians got him ready to go home. He would have to wear a cast on his hand for a while, and the bruises would take weeks to go away, but he was strong enough to go home. Leaving the hospital, on the other hand, was also stressful. Kim was anxious about how to deal with his suffering at home, about him falling or working too hard, and about the trauma that the accident had left him with. But Jamal was excited. He smiled a little and replied, "I just want to sleep in my own bed. Eat what my mom makes. Don't feel like a patient anymore. Feel like a human." The physicians provided their last orders. Don't carry heavy things, take breaks often, and always go to physical therapy sessions. Jamal nodded, taking in every word with an uncommon amount of earnestness. It was no longer okay to be irresponsible. When the wheelchair eventually got him through the hospital's automatic doors, cameras and fans flashed in the night. People wanted to photograph the occasion since they had heard he was free. Even though he was tired, Jamal was able to wave with his good hand. He merely muttered, "Thank you, everyone," before stepping into the automobile that would drive him home. Home was both a safe place and a hard place. The smell of clean clothes, the familiar walls, and the warmth of family portraits made Jamal feel at ease. But it was hard to get around. Brushing his teeth, eating without spilling, or getting dressed were all tasks that made him think about how much he had taken for granted. One night he quipped, "I feel like a baby again," as he tried to tie the strings of his sweatpants with one hand but couldn't. Kim laughed, but her tears mixed with her laughter. It hurt to see her son suffer, but she told herself it was only temporary. Slowly but surely, healing would happen. They made a schedule. Kim led easy stretches in the mornings. Jamal had physical therapy treatments in the afternoons, during which his hand was gently moved to keep it from getting stiff. We had family dinners, talked, and even watched movies at night to cheer us up. Jamal was most startled by how the accident affected him mentally and emotionally, not physically. He thought about the crash again and again at night when the home was quiet. The screech of the tires, the jolt of the crash, and the confusing whirl of lights tormented him. He kept telling himself, "It could have been worse. I could have died." He was more upset by the fact that he may have murdered someone else than about his own injuries. Jamal chose to publish a statement on Instagram without being asked. He wrote next to a picture of his cast, "I made a mistake that could have cost me everything. I was careless, and I take full responsibility for what happened. I'm thankful to still be here, to have my family with me, and to have been given another chance. Please be careful on the road. Don't think it can't happen to you. Yes, it can." The post spread like wildfire. Fans liked how mature, honest, and willing to be vulnerable he was. For a lot of people, it made them respect him more. Jamal was dealing with his own feelings while Kim was dealing with her own demons. The idea of almost losing her child scared her to her core as a mother. She was too protective, checking on him every hour, lingering around the kitchen, moving pillows around, and asking if he wanted water. "I don't want to smother him, but I can't help it," she told a close friend. "The accident kept playing in my thoughts over and over. What if I hadn't gotten that phone call? What if the police had come to my house instead?" Her friends told her that mending wasn't just for Jamal, it was for her too. She started going to a support group for parents who had been through similar scary situations with their kids, talking about her anxieties, listening to other people's tales, and recognizing she wasn't alone made her feel better. Jamal's cast was still on weeks after the accident, but he seemed much happier. He started strolling outdoors again, gently at first, but enjoying the fresh air on his face. Friends came around more often, bringing laughter and normal discussion. Life slowly moved toward a new normal. What had started off as a terrible accident was turning into a tremendous lesson for Jamal, his family, and his followers. Life was delicate, and mistakes had repercussions, but love and strength could make even the darkest paths brighter. Jamal said it best during a passionate talk with Kim. "This accident broke my hand, but it changed how I see things. I won't waste this chance again." Kim hugged him softly, tears in her eyes. That's all a mother could ever want. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.